I'm walking into work, you know, like, hey, all right, come on, let's get ready to tattoo, you know. Like, what the fuck? I'm like, what's going on? Like, and everybody just looks at me like I'm the problem.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Honest Tattooer, a tattoo podcast for tattoo artists, tattoo enthusiasts, and overall, everybody who loves tattoos, just like we do here. So my name is John Mesa, and welcome to our podcast. And this is my co-host, Matt Truiano.
Hey, how you doing?
Our boy, G Money, who's in the couch.
What?
And today we have our guest, Chris. What's up?
What are you doing? What's going on?
So, I think it's always good to introduce yourself, tell people your name, where you're from, and how long you've been tattooing.
Sure. My name's Chris Torres. Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I've been tattooing since golden age of tattooing, October 1996.
Damn.
It's been a long time.
He's the longest one so far.
Yeah. Wait. Lalo was like at a...
Oh, yeah, no, Lalo,
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, he started tattooing, doing like, stick and poke stuff. Because in Colombia, when he started tattooing, you couldn't get tattoo machines yet.
In his words, scratching.
Yeah, so he was like...
Now they charge $250 an hour for that shit in Williamsburg.
Yeah, they do.
I got a fun fact about myself. I said it on TV a while ago. I owned the first legal street level shop in New York City since 1961. It was called Alphabet City Studios, and it was on Avenue A between 13th and 14th Street. I took that over for business in the spring of 1997 or late. No, I'm sorry. I took it over in February 1997, reopened it for business in April of 98, or I took it over.
Wow.
No, I took it over in February 98 and reopened it for business in April 1998. Mm-hmm. And I had it there from April 1998 to, I believe, April 2003. Wow. There's one photo of it.
That's it.
That's it.
It's crazy, like during that time, I've thought about it even just like for my life, like the things that I did that were crazy in like high school, middle school. There is no record of it because nobody had a damn phone.
There's nothing. Right?
Nobody had a phone. It was only
camera
like,
phones.
Yeah, if your friends had one of those like disposable cameras that one day, and then if they cared to take it to get it developed, is their proof? Because I remember like.
Oh. They cared. You only got like the most you could get out of one of those was 36 pictures.
Yeah.
They were like, they would go running down to fucking whatever, I can't even remember the name of it now, like Photomat or whatever it was called or some shit.
Photorama?
Yeah, something now.
Something.
Like,
It's photo something.
It was blue and yellow.
Yeah.
It was FOTO, photo. So I think Photomat or Photo Smart or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And man, those things were like gold, man. You kidding? I was like, yo, we're gonna take a picture. Everybody gather around. It was like
a picture was a big deal.
Yo, it was like the event for the night.
If you blinked, you fucked.
Taking a photo was a big deal.
Now it's a big deal looking for the photo. Like,
Yeah.
hold on,
I know. I got it. I swear I got it. Hold on.
Hold on. In the 7,000 photos I took that night. Hold on 1 minute.
Remember having to wait a week before you actually see the
See the
photo?
photo.
The big deal was like 24-hour development. Fuck, I'll get it the next day.
Oh, I gotta wait.
Man, so we usually start, the podcast just sharing a little bit of what we did or what we tattooed this week. So we'd love to hear what you tattooed this week.
Nice. This week, what did I do? I did an astronaut very recently, and I did a bunch of lettering.
An astronaut, and that could go into it a little bit more.
It was an astronaut. It was from the shoulder down. It was a pretty fine line. It's one of the top pictures on my Instagram right now.
It used to happen to me a lot when I tattooed a lot of things in one day, where by the end of the day, I couldn't tell you what I tattooed the first thing that day. If I'd done 6 tattoos, I'm like, I have no idea what that first tattoo I did was.
Well, when I was same thing, when I was tattooing multiple things a day, at the end of the day, I would every tattoo that I would get paid for, I would put that money in a different pocket. At the end of the night, I try to remember, what's this for? It was brutal. I couldn't remember it.
You couldn't remember it.
Yeah.
We had to write everything down and all that. And I did an owl earlier in the week, and I did some lettering. I did one of one on a friend of mine. just some black and gray, like classic. I guess I Googled Western style lettering for the reference.
Western style, a little bit like a saloon style, like
it wasn't. We ended up coming across some other stuff that was along the same lines of what I was thinking, but it was a little bit different. We preferred that, so we just went with that. It just had some decorations on the inside of it, and then we did some script in the middle of it.
Cool.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. I was pretty happy with it.
Awesome.
Gabe might have to tattoo those same numbers on me, 718 or something, maybe.
I've done that a couple of times.
I need a 718.
Sounds good.
Tattoo. I got my Brooklyn birthmark over here already, but I need a 718 and the Yankee symbol. So.
That's right. Area code.
This week I worked on a couple of things. One thing that was really cool was like I did this huge clipper ship on a homie's arm, and
I saw that.
I had to, it was one of those things where he came by, he had like all these ideas, but out of all these ideas, the most consistent thing was that I want this to look like a sleeve in the end. So I was like, look, dude, if we're going to make this, you already had some old roses. I was like, I have to rework those roses. They're not, if I add something on top of that, it's not going to look like a sleeve. You got to let me rework those roses and add more to this, and then we can make it look better. And, he trusted me with the process and everything. And 2 days after the tattoo, he left super happy after we finished and everything. But 2 days after, he sent me another message, and he was like, hey man, I just want to say thank you so much. I really love my tattoo. This is way beyond what I thought that it could be. And those messages, man, are the best fucking messages. Yeah. When people they say thank you, they tip you and everything. And then a week later, you're like, look, I just need you to really know that this shit.
I'm really happy right now.
I'm fucking stoked. This is awesome.
I'll tell you what, though, every time I get those emails a week later, before I start getting into it, I get nervous. I'm like, oh man, I fucked something up. I spelled something wrong. Something's infected.
Something's not healing right.
Yeah. And then I get oh man, that looks great. I'm like,
you're like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's great. It's a good.
I got all these bumps around the perimeter of my tat.
Yeah,
a lot of people are using that on the Saniderm lately, and when people first started using it, they were overlapping it a whole lot. I don't know if you noticed, but when you overlap it in a big area and you leave it on for too long of a period of time, it starts to get all red and inflamed.
Yeah,
looks like an infection. But if you take the Saniderm off immediately, just kind of let it dry out, it goes away. It's not an infection. It's just some. I think I haven't looked into what it is. I'm pretty sure it's a lack of oxygen getting to the.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Maybe
so you're kind of
if you layer it too much,
so
that makes sense.
People were
it's supposed to be breathable.
But people were just just wrapping it around people's legs,
right.
cellophane.
But that stuff expensive. I don't even know where the people got the money to waste this much.
So Saniderm is essentially like a microscopic mesh, right? So if you did overlap it too much,
it's gonna keep it from breathing.
It's gonna stop what it's supposed to do. It's let it just breathe, naturally, and trap the fluid inside and still let it breathe.
And people were coming back, people a lot of people getting a lot of phone calls like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Expecting to get a great review, my fucking tattoo's all fucked up.
So speaking of Saniderm, I actually wanted to ask you guys this question. So I was out at the local diner by my house a couple of days ago getting breakfast with the family, and our waiter just got a new tattoo on his hand, by his thumb area, and it was a couple of days in. He wasn't using Saniderm. He was regular healing, old school way.
Did he have his finger in your soup?
But so this is what I'm thinking about. As I'm watching him give me my food, and there's flakes of skin everywhere. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
I'm thinking, what would be worse? What would be worse to see these flakes of skin and nastiness, or see the sludge pouch from the
Saniderm? So
either one.
Both suck, but the sludge. If you have a little sludge pouch on your Saniderm, it's because you didn't change it, and you're supposed to change it after 24 hours. Most people don't. Last time I got tattooed, I let that thing just be like a freaking puddle in there.
Yeah, I never tell.
And I just let it just dry in there. But honestly, if I would have changed it that second day when that pouch was full, cleaned it, put another Saniderm on, that thing would have been just.
It would have been dry.
It would have been dry.
You know what? I think that brings up somewhat of a relevant point, which is actually pretty interesting. How does everybody feel about a waiter or a waitress coming over with those fucking latex gloves on that they've used on the last 37 tables that they've waited on.
Oh, true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like, and here they are, you know, they're trying to prevent
money.
All they're doing is keeping their hands clean. They're not doing anything. You just shared the entire restaurant shit with me as you brought my fucking bread to me.
Same thing with like if you go to a New York deli, you know, the guy in the deli is gonna take your order, blah, touch everything, then be like, yeah, give me the money for the cash. Open the
cool.
You're like, oh wait,
your hands are clean, bro. Awesome. Like,
And still make you that sandwich with the same
you just gave me whatever the last 27 customers you had gave me. You know what I mean? Like,
when we were at the other shop.
And then here we are paying more for these latex gloves because it's apparently a health regulation or whatever placed on us by the CDC or whoever the hell it is. Excuse me. And they don't even know what they're doing.
Nope.
It's single use. Those gloves should be, you know, but think about how much pollution it would be if, you waited on one person, threw the gloves out, waited on the next person, threw the gloves out, waited on, you know what I mean?
I mean, to properly not cross-contaminate, you'd have to be very wasteful.
Yeah,
Of course.
yeah, you're gonna have to waste a lot of
man.
stuff for sure.
And
I was getting food from a halal guy over on Bowery a couple of years ago, and the guy, as he's making my food, his propane tank goes out. So he goes outside, starts changing his propane tank with his gloves on,
Yeah.
and then he comes back. He's about to start making my food again. I was like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah, switch your gloves, bro.
I'm like, you gonna change those gloves? He's like, oh yeah, I was going to. I was like, no, you weren't.
Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Freaking word, bro. You're a liar.
July.
You are lying.
It's nasty though, man. Everybody's running around with these, and then throwing them out on the floor. And, there needs to be some kind of class. So we had to take a class.
Yeah.
We had to be licensed. We had to, we couldn't tattoo people. Meanwhile, most of the procedures we take and the precautions that we take are to protect ourselves. The client comes second, but here they are running around. This is how to protect everybody. Yeah. You just handed me everybody's shit, man.
During COVID, it was crazy when people were using the gloves
and just throwing them out on the street.
Throwing them out on the streets, but also like just doing the hypocritical stuff you were talking about.
Smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, with the same glove, grabbing their cell phone, touching all
Making no sense whatsoever.
Touching all the vegetables at the grocery stores because they're like, oh, I'm trying to protect myself. All you're doing is just spreading germs and viruses, but you're protecting your hand. That's the only thing that's being protected at the end of that. Your hand.
It's like getting a king size double bacon meal and getting a Diet Coke with it. I can eat anything I want with a Diet Coke.
It was crazy.
Cool. So wait, hold on. So
Gabe, what'd you do this week?
What did I do this week? I think what I can remember off the top of my head that I was actually a little stoked on was maybe another one of my NYCs that I do.
Yeah. Those things are dope.
So I did thank you, man. I did number 39 out of 100. They are limited.
Nice.
Which is why I like bust my ass on each and every one of them because they have to be clean and saturated and I got to make it count. But that one was a cool one. The clients for the most part are so cool that come in and get those things. And they just make it like an enjoyable experience. And they're always pretty open with like the color theme that I'm going for because I'm always going for this like Miami Vice type color. You know what I mean? Like retro, almost like Art Deco, sunset vibes, like Midnight City vibes. And no, they've been pretty cool so far. I mean, I had a lot of fun on it.
Yeah.
What's the plan after you're done with number 100? What are you going to do with everything?
I think I'm going to do like another limited run, but like completely different style of something.
No, but I mean like, so you're taking pictures of all 100 of these that you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to make like a movie, a collage? Like what?
A little flip book?
No, I'm going to make like a little like
a photo
on
shoot
Instagram, like a little. Yeah, I mean, I might
like a class photo.
What I'm definitely going to do is I'll try to organize something with like at least 10 people with the NYCs.
I mean, I think you should try this already because you already have enough that you could try this to see how it looks. It would take a little bit of like keyframing where you could take every one of them, and either make it either with pictures or with videos of them. But then you have to align each picture so the NYC ends up being overlapped on each other.
Oh man.
And
I
then
know what you're
you'd have
getting
to
at.
shift it. You have to use the keyframe to be
Yeah.
able to move it and place it in one exactly on top of each other.
Right.
So then you can get like a 30-second, like all the tattoos, and it would be the same NYC, just changing colors and all the patterns and everything like that.
That'd be
That would
kinda
look
great.
really cool.
Yeah.
Time lapse.
Yeah,
That'd be really cool.
that would look really cool.
Or you could just go like full on Twister and have everybody with their legs wrapped around. Fucking look
Which
like
would still
like a
make
mess.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool. But like
pretty
everyone trying to like put their wrists, arms, and legs together. Yeah,
I call this one
Twister.
spaghetti.
Yeah. Spaghetti NYC collab.
So another story that we usually like to ask people, like, you started tattooing a long time ago, man. So how did you get into this?
Oh man. I tell people it was a lack of employment opportunities that got me into that.
I feel like that's still the case.
Desperation.
I really had nothing going for me, so here I am. I mean, I've always been. It's funny because I've always been. I've been drawing since I'm a baby. My mother has a drawing I did when I was 16 months old.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and she says I told her it was ducks around the pond. I don't have no recollection of this, but she found it not too long ago, put it in a frame. And if you look at it, it's ducks around the pond. It's it's scribbled, but you can
But you can make
it's
it
like
out.
Little fucking feet. and
What I feel like is
shit.
like it's two ducks around the pond, Mom. One's looking this way, the other one looking that way, and
It's like, hey, what do you want from me?
Your mom was probably like, my son's gifted.
Oh
Yeah.
man, forget it.
Yeah, dude.
my mother works in child development, so if it wasn't for her, it was, oh my God, he's an artist. Ah.
Yep.
And then my dad would bring stuff home from the office, reams of paper and pencils and shit, and they'd buy me coloring books all the time, and just stuff to draw with. I ended up going to, I went to FIT for 2 years. I've been an artist for as long as I can remember, and I always said that tattooing is like it's the only thing that if somebody sees you scribble something on a napkin, everybody turns around and they're like, yo, you should do tattoos. No one ever looks at like, yo, you should be a graphic designer, bro. Like, yo, you ever think of like interior design? Like, you ever think of like fucking clothing that, you know what I mean? No one says nothing like that. They see you do some little fucking piece of shit in a bar or whatever. Yo, bro, you should get into tattooing, man. I would get that tattooed on me right now.
It's so true though.
That's
Chris,
your
it was a-
fucking problem.
Chris, it was an ex-girlfriend that got me into tattooing. She was like, oh, you draw pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, you should get into tattooing.
tattooer, bro.
And then I was like,
We've all heard it.
And
We've
then-
all
yeah, and I was
been
like,
doing
I
something
really
stupid
love
at a bar. And
tattoos,
somebody's
actually.
like,
I was like, I'm really into tattoos, actually.
What's funny though, I heard that all my life, but you got to remember, growing up in New York City, I grew up in Brooklyn. Like I said, I was born and raised. I don't know. I'm sure my age will be
counts.
revealed by the end of this. So I'll let everybody wonder for a little while. It was illegal. It was illegal here in New York City it went illegal November 1st, 1961, and it didn't come back. Giuliani allowed us to come up above ground, quote unquote, in the February of
97,
February
right?
97. Yeah.
Wow.
I was among like the first 50 licensed tattoo artists in New York City. Like I said earlier, I owned the first legal street level shop. There are people that will argue that, but I have the facts to tell them otherwise. I was the first storefront on the street level. There was a legal shop down here on Canal Street that was upstairs. There were two other shops. There were two other tattoo shops that were coffee shops on the books.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so
That's I mean, I'll drop names, but
there was Studio Enigma on West 5th and Avenue U, and then there was Fun City over here.
yeah,
in
I would
St.
say
Mark's
Fun
between
City.
First
There was
and
like what we're talking about, and then in Canal, then it was like
that was Kaleidoscope. That was
yes,
upstairs.
Kaleidoscope.
But Kaleidoscope was upstairs, so Kaleidoscope was actually legal.
But Kaleidoscope was pretty much what became Sacred Tattoo afterwards.
No. Sacred
Different
Tattoo.
people?
Sacred Tattoo first opened up on Broadway, where there was an Old Navy. It was a walk-through shop. I forget what's there now. I think it's where it's in like Soho. It was in some hot shit spot. But in the 90s, it wasn't as expensive, and it was one of those, like street malls where you walk in the front, like they never closed it. So it was always an open hallway.
Yeah.
24 hours. The vendors would close themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
so
right.
You got people sleeping in this shit. Sacred first opened up in one of those. It was an Old Navy originally. Unimax was upstairs, and then Sacred moved to Canal and West Broadway, Canal and like Green Street or some shit like that.
Yes.
Over there, and it was like that's where Howard Stern got tattooed.
Oh shit.
Stern got tattooed over there, and then they moved to where they are now.
Okay.
And they're upstairs. But Kaleidoscope was where actually, so you kind of Kaleidoscope is where the new Sacred is now.
Yes.
They didn't open it there first.
Ah, okay.
So Kaleidoscope was upstairs, and I think it was a lot smaller. Also, they had a pool table in there. Anil Gupta worked there, as a matter of fact.
That's right. I knew that.
Worked there. This Russian guy Dmitry, who was like some of the straightest lines and cleanest circles I've ever seen in my life. Like unbelievable shit. Looked like he used a compass and a straight edge and like laid it all out like technically. But this was back in like, you know, in the 90s. And then you had Eastside Inc. They were on 3rd Street, but they were in the back of a residential apartment. And then Daredevil got their street location down here on Ludlow, their original location, which was on Ludlow, which is next door to the old Max Fish. They were after Alphabet City.
Yeah.
So Alphabet City was the first tattoo shop, not coffee shop, not social club, not nothing.
Straight up tattoo
In a
shop.
storefront on the street level.
How many guys do you have working with you then?
I had, who did I have? I had my original artists were, I had Mike Stella came to work with me, who was one of the original crew from Enigma in Brooklyn on West 5th Street over there. Then I had a gentleman named Martin Hacker who had a shop out in Staten Island called Celtic something. A friend of mine named Danny came out from Jersey. I think he's got a shop out in Jersey City somewhere now. I had Mike Kirk was working there for a little while. He was one of the original Enigma crews from over here, one of the original members of Enigma from Evan Way and St. Mark's Place. I don't know if you guys ever heard of a band called Yuppicide.
Yes.
A band called Yuppicide from back in the 90s. They were a New York hardcore band. They were all Pratt students. And Steve Karp, he was the guitarist to Yuppicide. He came and worked for me. He did my first visible tattoo. So he tattooed this swallow that was here on my hand.
Oh shit.
It was my first tattoo as an employer. This one, and I think he was my first employee.
Cool.
So Steve Von Riepen worked there. Mike Drexler worked there.
The one who built the awesome machines?
Yes,
Drexler?
Mike Drexler. He makes some great machines. Steve Von Riepen has Queen Street Tattoo now in like Honolulu, Hawaii.
You had a lot there.
Yeah, it was.
How big was the space?
Back it was 450 square feet.
That's not big. Everybody's grand in there.
We had like, well, they weren't all there at the same time, but we had 3 stations or 4 stations. At one point, we stopped in the middle. You know, I set it up one way. We put up like a wall and like little cubicles and shit. And then one day I was like,
fuck these cubicles. This is killing the space.
Literally, this is how different the 90s were. This
Open
is
floor.
amazing. We had no choice. We were doing construction, right? And one of my artists shows up, Mike Stella. If you're listening to this, what's up, buddy? He shows up. Oh, I got a client. I got a tattoo. I'm like, bro, we're fucking smashing the place today. He's like, well, okay, whatever. He fucking sits the guy down. The guy, we're like, all right, the guy's getting fucking tattooed. We're like, yo, we got to break this wall. He's like,
Sheetrock dust flying all over the place.
we start smashing this wall. The fucking client, yo, give me that. We take a little sledgehammer. It was like a fucking sledgehammer, like this big, but we're like, not like the big, John Henry ones. It was like the little one like this.
Yeah.
He goes, yo, give me that. He gets up in the middle of his tattoo, takes it, fucking
He starts helping out.
fucking throws it through the wall. He's like, yeah, sits down, keeps getting tattooed. He keeps smashing the shit out of this thing around the back. It's fucking like, you would never see that now. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
hold on, wait. Let's take a break from this arrow on the inside of my finger. Let me fucking knock down this wall. No, that's not happening.
That's so good.
There's asbestos dust that's settling on my arrow tattoo right
I think
now.
I'm getting an asthma attack.
3 stars, Yelp.
Yes, tattoos.
Yeah, think about the Yelp review that would get you these days. Huh?
I mean, like
At least 13 health codes were being violated during my tattoo that day.
I feel like it's the fact that tattoos have changed, the tattooers have changed, and the people that get tattoos have changed a lot.
Oh yeah,
Totally.
Oh my goodness.
yeah. What used to be the badassers, the bikers, the criminals.
People who weren't pussies.
Well, the one thing that I say about the trend in tattooing these days is now you got a lot of artists that are willing to do the white dots on the inside of your finger. And take a picture of it and put it up on Instagram. You know what I mean? And it's fresh and it looks.
And people are like, it's amazing.
Exactly. And then you get some little 18-year-old kid comes into your shop and they're like, I want 3 white dots on the inside of my finger. And you're like, that's not going to hold up. We don't do that. It's not going to stay. And they go, well, they did it over there.
Yep.
And now they're going to go over there and pay whatever they're asking to get it done.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So what are you going to do? You're going to let that tattoo walk out? No, you're going to sit that kid down and do 3 white dots on the inside of his finger. And you're going to give him the speech. You're going to tell him it's not going to stay.
Right.
And they're going to go, oh, I don't care. It's cool. It's cool. It's like, you don't care until you care, until it falls out. And then you come back and you drive me crazy because you want this shit touched up. But what those tattoos do now is those tattoos let kids that know nothing about this industry, know nothing about our craft, know nothing about our art, dictate what we can and can't do now. You know what I mean? Whereas we used to be the ones that were like, hey, look, that's not going to work. Stop wasting my time.
Yeah.
They're at a place where
Now kids are like, oh, well, I'll just go.
I'll just do it.
I'll just go over.
fucking
I
do
don't,
it.
No.
I don't
They-
mind if it falls out. I don't mind if it. What the fuck you mean you don't mind if it falls out?
They don't mind because all they want is the 5-second Instagram
and then
photo,
they
get
get
their
the
likes.
photo. Yep.
Instant
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
gratification.
Yep.
I mean, that's why, like, if you went back in time and you were like, look, guys, I have this ink that you can get a tattoo and it will fade in 6 to 12 months. People were like, why the fuck would I get that?
why would I do that?
Like, why the fuck would I do
ridiculous.
that? I'm
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
get a tattoo. It's supposed to stay.
Yep.
So but yeah, we're in a different culture where people like see the short-term gratification as just, part of my experience,
It's true. And, and they're letting people tell us like what to do. You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to argue with somebody when there's a picture of it and it exists on the internet and they go, oh, well, he did it. Why can't you do it? Oh, he did a yellow outline on somebody.
Today we saw this crazy photo. We were talking about it a little bit earlier, but we'll probably pull it up on the screen so you guys can see it. But we saw a photo. I think I have my phone's over there, but I sent it on the thing. If you have it on your phone, so he can see it. So it's this young woman. She got her face tattooed with a peony, and the center of the peony, it's right on her it's on her face, and the center of it is over. It's on her freaking eye. It's literally.
Is she heavily tattooed? Or
No, you can't see any tattoos on this girl. It looks wild. It looks wild.
It was on Tattoo Snob, right?
Yeah, it's on Tattoo Snob.
It's crazy.
Which is a great tattoo
Matt.
website to follow if you want to look at some cool
Truiano.
tattoos.
Yes, sir.
Pass this to Chris.
Oh, I can see a glimpse of it.
Oh, you got it.
Shit. And
So
that's
check
not-
that thing out. Yeah, zoom into that thing. It looks it's and I feel like it's funny because it's like we were talking about this, that's how tattoo artists look at tattoos. We don't just look at it. We're like, wait, let me double pinch this and zoom into this thing and see what the fuck is going on in there. You're like,
I mean, I got, 2 things right off the bat. Those petals aren't going to hold up, especially in somebody's face. That's going to look like a birthmark.
oh, and it's on her eyelid. It's
gonna
like
look all washed
it's
out.
shit
Gonna
that's on
look
her
like a
eyelid.
birthmark.
Yep, it's going to look, when they get those purple birthmarks.
Yeah. It's gonna look very
Trains or whatever.
strange,
Yeah, it's gonna
very
look
weird.
horrible. Second, whatever tattoo artist did this on her, that's not a professional tattoo. If this woman walked into my shop and was like, I want my face tattooed, I'd be like, I want a solid gold toilet, baby. It's just not.
I mean, especially you can't tell what the rest of her body looks like. It's just a picture of her head. And
Yeah, but you know what? If she's showing enough, where if you're gonna have your face tattooed, everything I can see in that photo should be tattooed.
Yeah. Her
Exactly.
throat, her chest. Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
What I mean? You don't just walk into a shop and go, "I'd like my first tattoo on my face, please."
Yo,
Like,
drinks from next door. In
Yeah.
old fashioned.
Old fashioned, please. So, what did I do this week? I worked on a guy from New Orleans. I I did a piece on him once before, a couple of months ago. He got a portrait in my style of his mother. She's a nurse, so I did a old World War II style nurse outfit on her.
Nice.
Looked pretty cool. And then today I did his father. He's a carpenter, so we got like the circular saw blade and the hammer kind of around him, framing him up.
Nice.
Looked pretty cool. He's a cool guy. The first time he came in, so he's from New Orleans. The first time he came here, he gifted me a gator head.
Oh, sick.
So that little gator head that you see at my station, that's from him.
Yeah. Nice.
Wow.
And then today he whipped out of his bag this little head statue. And honestly, I don't even know who it is. I feel embarrassed not knowing who this is. Maybe you guys know who it is, but he gave it to me. And he's like, since you're doing the portrait of my dad, I wanted to give this to you. My father gave this to me, and now I want you to have it. I'm like, dude, I can't take this. What are you talking about?
That's too much.
He's like, nah, I want you to have
Vested
this.
clients.
Yeah. So I've got this little bust of someone.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
Could be Hitler. He looks.
Yeah.
Who knows?
He gave me this Charlie
They
Chaplin.
do have
They're
the
like,
same mustache.
That looks like Hitler, bro.
Next session is going to be like, hey, I hate to kind of like gift you
Boy, this is
but-
gonna get awkward.
but I'm baptizing my kids, and you're gonna be the godfather. Like, I hate to put this on you, but you're gonna have to do this.
Dude, I've had something. No, I mean, not like that, but I had one of my clients who I tattooed for a couple of years. He was getting married, and he wanted to invite me to the wedding.
Bro, I really want you to meet my wife.
So he, but check this out. So, and it's my buddy Doug. So Doug, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, man, I really want you to be at my wedding.
And I'm only joking. So.
But he doesn't. He knows that I won't know anybody else at this wedding.
Yeah.
So instead of putting me at a table where people that I don't know, he's like, bro, just be in my wedding. You can be a groomsman. What? You can sit at my table. I'm like, all right.
It's like, I'm gonna put you with everybody that I know. Like, it's okay.
So that's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
The relationships that we form,
For sure.
as tattooers with our clients, because our clients, like, we might not hold ourselves up too high on a day-to-day basis, because we forget, at the end of the day, we just do tattoos on people, but we forget how special these things are for a lot of the individuals we tattoo, and then they see us as something more, and it's kind of cool to be appreciated like that. Some people would be weirded out, but I'm never like, I'm always appreciative. I'm like, man, that's
especially
awesome.
from like my clients that I'm spending, dude. I have clients I've spent, countless and countless of hours, and we know each other for years now. Because we've been tattooing each other, and it was like, oh, you know me before I got married. You know me before I had kids, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And
Like,
spend hours with them.
yeah.
right.
We've talked about your fucking shitty ex-girlfriend you had before, and now you're married to this new chick. It's crazy, bro.
You spent hours. You spend hours with them at a pretty vulnerable point in their, in their life, basically.
Yeah.
Where they're being hurt, they're putting a lot of trust in somebody. You know what I'm saying? So they're like, it's pretty intimate, and
Definitely.
you're changing people's lives. When you give somebody their first tattoo, you're making them now a person with a tattoo.
Correct.
Yes.
Or a tattooed person.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You're changing who they are. You're changing their physical appearance. You're giving them something. You're adding to their body, to their persona. You know what I mean? So it's like, and it takes a certain caliber of person, as far as we go, to respect that, and to not, you give that to somebody who's quote unquote normal.
Right.
You never know where they're gonna run with that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They're like, look what I did, and it's like, hey, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And for us, it's another day in the office. For the client, it's the day they got their tattoo.
That's right.
So it's like, it's a big day for them. For us, it's just us doing our job.
Yeah. I think over the years, like a huge shift in tattooing is, from, like what you were saying, like a lot of times, there were people that got into tattooing because this is a job. You know what I'm saying? Like, now you're getting a lot of people that are getting to tattooing because I like to draw, and I want to make art, and I want to make money, So this seems like a good art career.
Yeah. Oh, we have
Nothing related to tattooing. This is a good art career. I can make money doing this.
I'm sure you guys get plenty of people stopping in just like we do. No tattoos or nothing. They get their art portfolio with them, and they're looking for an apprenticeship.
It hasn't, we would get more like emails from those people. A lot of emails. From
Not because they want to be tattoo artists, just because they're looking for a job, basically. You know, like, oh, hey, I'm an artist. Maybe I can get into this career.
I can do
or,
this.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe I can do this.
Yeah.
You know, used to be, like I said, I say it as a joke, but it's not really a joke. Like I got into tattooing because it was either that or go fucking, clean the toilet somewhere. I shovel shit from one side of the street.
Well, I'm pretty good at drawing.
I was like,
I guess I can not be a loser.
but then back then, what you had, you had to go and dig. Literally, I'm not even kidding when I say this. I'm not exaggerating or anything. When I started tattooing, the only publication that existed on tattooing was Tattooing A to Z. Was Huck Spaulding's book.
Yep.
I read it at the time. I was like, oh, this is this is cool because it's the only book that tells you. I read it now. I'm like, what the fuck? My spray bottle over here. What the fuck? A tapered design goes better on the form. I'm like, it's some whack ass shit, man. You know what I mean? But it was all we had allowed to us.
Right.
So,
I remember having that book too, Chris.
Yo, it's
I
great.
remember ordering it.
Check this out. I got my copy of it. I bought my copy in probably 94, 95, something like that, right? AIDS had already been a thing. So the fucking copy of the book that I got came with this big bright orange pamphlet. Warning, please ignore chapter 6 on sterilization. Only follow these procedures in this pamphlet. Ignore page whatever, like 32 through fucking 40 or whatever it is. And then you read it just out of curiosity. It's like, make sure to keep a bucket of Listerine next to your station.
Yeah.
So
The
you
brown
can keep your
Listerine.
fucking
Dunk it in there.
machine in it and
The brown,
shit. Like,
the gold.
mix it with
brown,
brine. There was like keep a test tube rack above your station. You could keep your 5-liner in it and your 7 Magnum. And you're like, no, man, that's disgusting. Like you used to, even when that was okay to do, that still sounds gross to do.
It
that
still sounds
shit,
gross,
man.
but
what I mean? Like,
man, that's what they did. If you made I've spoken to like really old tattooers that were like, yeah, man, if you soldered a really nice 5-liner, you used the
fucking
shit out of
kept it,
it.
man.
Yeah, like, oh man, this is a good one. I soldered the shit out of
it
this.
got even better the more you use it. You're like, man,
Yeah.
it's getting duller and duller. This shit's great.
This is-
Like,
Wasn't that Jack Rudy's claim to fame that he would keep reusing the same needles? And he was like,
I mean,
man,
he's
once they get
tattooing-
more duller, it's just better and
It's
better.
better and better.
He was tattooing since the 60s, I think.
Yeah.
Late 60s,
Yeah.
probably all through 70s.
There's gotta be some truth in that.
There was
Absolutely.
no-
I'm sure
yeah.
that for a bit it was like, oh, I'm gonna just, dip this in alcohol. It'll be good.
Like it's too sharp. It's not packing in right. But as soon as they got
it's
dull,
scratching too
man,
much.
you fucking wore it down a little. It's like anything else, man. A baseball glove, a paintbrush. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I was actually thinking about that today because I, everybody does it, so I'm not afraid to say it. I hit the bottom of my cap, and I'm thinking to myself, like, whatever, man, it's just gonna pack it even a little bit better.
it does.
Even with metal tubes back in the day, like when you got a metal tube in the beginning, like it wasn't as good as when you used it and you got that little bit of the grooves, it kept your needles a little bit better because it had those grooves that you fucking worked for, took time. But man,
it was crazy, man. But also along with that, what else you would get is, just for example, I'm not saying, suppose like some rock star, like I'm just gonna say Mick Jagger. He doesn't have any tattoos as far as I know, but let's say Mick Jagger got tattooed, right? And they wrote about it in Rolling Stone. There was an article about the Rolling Stones in Rolling Stone, and it just happens to mention that Mick Jagger got tattooed. You would pick that article up and read it just because it had like 3 lines that mentioned the word tattoo in it. You know what I mean? And it was like, what can I get from this? You end up reading the article, and then you get like, now you're breeding a type of tattoo artist who's researched like Forbes and Rolling Stone and Metal Edge and Tattooing A to Z and tattooing magazines and all this shit. And they got all this shit to talk about because they just happen to come across, music stuff also, or like financial stuff also, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like now you walk in the shop and you get some kid with his fucking headphones on and a fucking battery powered dildo and start talking because he fucking learned on YouTube or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And that's all he knows is to shut up and draw. Like this. I walked into a shop not too long ago I mean, any shop I've ever worked in or walked into, man, it's been wild. Like, we've had conversations across the shop yelling at each other. Like I said, the clients throwing fucking sledgehammers through the walls. Like, it's a little bit different. I walked into a shop one day, 3 or 4 artists tattooing, headphones on, rotary machines or, the pens or whatever.
You don't hear nothing.
No fucking noise whatsoever. I've walked into fucking funerals that have been fucking loud. I'm walking into work, like, hey, all right, come on, let's get ready to tattoo, Like, what the fuck? I'm like, what's going on? Like, and everybody just looks at me like I'm the problem.
That's the intro right there.
I'm like, yo, man, did someone die? Did I miss? What's the bad news? What happened? You know what I mean? Like,
man, that low energy vibe, man, in the tattoo shop is not where it's at.
I felt like I walked into a brick wall. I was like, what the fuck is this, man? Like, I'm sorry, this is.
You don't even smell green soap anymore.
Well,
It's all vegan soaps.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a safe space. We made this. It's a safe space. You can hold Ethel. She's our house cat, and she'll sit on your lap while you get this tattoo.
Do you want to pet her and calm down a little bit?
Like,
I'm sorry. Was I out of line by showing up to work today?
We have complimentary shots of wheatgrass while you wait for your tattoo.
Oh man,
Get the floor girl. She's gonna come tickle your nacho while you get tattooed. Relax you, maybe.
yeah, it's a whole new world of tattooing out
I
here.
think that's an ancient Japanese trick.
So after Alphabet City, where did your career go from there? Did you tattoo? Where else did you tattoo?
After Alphabet City, I went on what I like to call my New York City world tour. I worked at a whole bunch of shops after that. I worked at shops that don't exist anymore. I worked at shops that still exist. I owned a second shop. I worked mostly in the East Village. I'm born and raised in Brooklyn. I love Brooklyn. I still live there. My kids are born in Brooklyn. I'm not a big fan of working in Brooklyn. Brooklyn is more residential, and people are there to run errands, live. They live there. Nobody wants to hear the quote that I'm going to give them when they're off, like picking their kids up from school or whatever. You know what I'm saying? When they're just stopping in the tattoo shop, like doing the things that they normally have to do. I prefer working in Manhattan because people are out here. They're out here to spend money. They're out here to party. They're out here for a good time. They're visiting.
Right.
Isn't that some crazy shit? You cross over a bridge and it just changes your state of mind immediately.
Less than 5 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, I could walk into Brooklyn here. It's probably about 2.5 miles.
Yeah, just cross the bridge.
It changes everything.
Yeah, but it really does. It's like, people live in Brooklyn. People
Come on over, okay.
Even though
Everybody, my boy Ali in the house.
Oh, I thought these were the tacos.
Ali makes some of
the
the
hoodie
finest,
threw me off.
Amazing
finest
drinks.
cocktails. Always A+. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, brother.
All right.
If anybody's interested, Katya next door. These guys are amazing. They make great food, great drinks, great vibes. That's it.
Thank you.
Chris, speaking about the walking into a tattoo shop and feeling like you're in the environment, I always joke with these guys because, at the end of the day, I really don't like, I always talk shit about like coils versus rotaries and, seeing how like tattooing is advancing. And I always like joke about it because I still like to make noise, And I always say that downstairs, because we have a 2-floor, we have 2 levels where we tattoo here at No Idols. And downstairs, I'm the only one holding it down with like the coil sound. Yep. And up here, we have Doug and Olivia who are also running coils. But if it's not us running coils, you'd walk into the tattoo shop and be like,
it could be quiet.
It could be pretty quiet.
You're the one providing anxiety for everybody.
Every time I'm like, I'm like, all right.
Make it sound like
you guys ready? It's about to start. It's gonna sound like a shop in here.
Down.
It's gonna sound like a tattoo shop in here now.
Yeah, man.
And be like, you're welcome, guys. You're welcome.
I mean, hey, use whatever you want, whatever feels. I mean, there's a few things. One tattoo rotary machines were the original tattoo machine.
Correct.
So a coil machine is actually the new style of tattoo.
The newer
machine.
style.
It comes after
That's the more
rotary,
advanced one.
for sure.
Now, you know, with the battery power ones, the wireless ones, I understand that they're it's a different mechanism than a rotary. Even it's some type of bobbin or something like that goes up and down.
Yeah.
It's not a rotary motor that just kind of lifts the thing.
Yeah.
What I have noticed, I tried rotaries. I haven't tried the pens or anything like that. Is that those feel more like a pencil to me, and the coils are basically an electric paintbrush.
It feels more like a Sharpie, like it just like.
It's a brush. It's a paintbrush. So if you line with the coil machine or if you line with the paintbrush and watercolor, it's basically the same feel. It's just, you know, doesn't weigh as much. You know what I mean? There's a lot more give. So when you hit the skin, the springs on a coil machine will actually push back. So the skin will push back with a rotary machine or the bobbin. You don't get that.
That's why I hate lining with those rotaries.
Yeah, I tried it, and I mean my tattoos normally heal up like a sunburn. You know, they just kind of flake off.
They
They're
flake
real
off,
delicate
heal.
or whatever. You
Yep.
know what I mean? I tried tattooing with these rotary machines, and it looked like fucking banana bread healing off. Fucking scab on top of this shit. They healed up okay. Nothing fell out or anything, but it was a rough heal on the clients, you know?
Right.
I just want to just be mindful of when you're talking with your hand. You might have your hand right in front of the camera.
Can you believe it? It's from being raised in Brooklyn. What the fuck?
I had a long run trying to line my tattoos with the Bishop wand. Okay. And I tried for a long time, and it started to go pretty well. I tried a bunch of different cartridges too, and I found out that the cartridges make a big difference.
Yeah.
And I found one brand that worked better than others. And for a little while, because all the other cartridges that I was using before then were so terrible, that when I found this one, it was like, oh yeah, I could work with this.
This
is
works
all right.
good, yeah.
But then after a couple of tattoos, it's like, wait a minute, it's better than
It's
what
still
I was
not
just
as
using.
good.
It's not good. Yeah. So I wound up going back. I mean, I'm using Cubans, which are still rotaries, but they had that spring, they had that give,
That was
they had
playing a
that
little
sound.
bit. Yeah,
Well, yeah, because they have an armature bar that makes the impact. So it's that
Yeah,
impact.
it's like a little adjustable. It's got a spring on it or something. It's like a different type of rotary mechanism.
Yep.
Do you use all rotaries?
Yes. I still use the wand to color.
You use coils still.
Yeah.
Right?
I use all rotaries, and I'm just using a pen. That's it.
Just using the pen.
Just one pen wire. I'm wireless for nothing.
I got honestly when I opened up Alphabet City on Avenue A, I had I'm gonna drop some more names here. When I opened up on that block, I had Sean Vasquez, rest in peace, tattooing in the building right next door to me out of his apartment. Then I had Mike Ledger, who was right across the street from me, tattooing out of his apartment also. This was right before we went to Honolulu. So I was right there between two like major names. And they would stop in and they would come say, you know, people would get tattooed by them and they would pop in the shop and say what's up, whatever. So this one dude comes in one day. I think his name was Brian. He worked at a place called Third Eye on Union Street, which was owned by a woman named Maya. He comes in, he's got a dragon tattooed on the inside of his arm, and he's got it's like Japanese kites or cards, I forget what they're called or whatever. And he's got his mother's portrait on it. So I see this portrait that Mike Ledger did of this kid's mother, and it's like fucking, you know, like 1.5 inches by 2 inches. It's small, it's little. I wouldn't call it miniature, but it's tiny.
Yeah.
And she's got all her teeth in there, and I go, wow, man, what did he do the fucking teeth with, man? And he goes, oh, he did it with a 7 Magnum. And, you know, the kid worked in the tattoo shop. He wasn't like just a client, like, oh, I don't know, he did it with a 14, like, you know what I mean? Like, he did it with a 23 pin. What? Shut up. So the kid knew what he was talking about. He goes, no, he just took his 7 Magnum and turned it on its side, and he just did the little. I mean, it was tiny, man. And he did the little teeth or whatever with like the corner of a Magnum. And I was like, you know what? Ever since then, there's been no reason to set up anything smaller than a Type 5 and a 7 Magnum. And that's it. And I use 2 machines. I mean, that's not all I use, but I won't use anything smaller than that.
Yeah.
And people are like, I'll do a tattoo when we used to get a lot of walk-ins. People would be like, "Oh, just do it with a liner. Just do it with a liner." No, fucking put a 7 Magnum in it. I'm not fucking do it with just a liner. Fuck you. You do the tattoo. But now you see these kids, and they're like, they got the one machine. They bust out like 8 different size tips on their shit, and it's just a matter of, we're setting up a coil machine. You're gonna set up 4 or 5 machines. What are you gonna set up 5 fucking coil machines? What are you, crazy? Like,
when I used to use coil machines, that's what I did. I had 5 machines.
That's why I did it a couple times when I'd been tattooing probably 3 years maybe.
Yeah.
And I was like, what if I do a big piece and I want to do some details or whatever? But
if you watch Joshua Carlton's DVDs from like back in the early 2000s,
that's Chinese to me. We didn't have DVDs, but we couldn't watch DVDs when I was doing it.
So he had a couple of different tattoos that he did, and one of them he did this black and gray portrait. Everything was done with the 25 mag.
Okay,
everything.
I remember that.
Yeah. And he was like, you can get into these details just using the corners of your mask.
Tintin would only use a 15 Magnum, and he would, he's a French tattoo artist. I don't see his name a whole lot. To Tintin is Joshua Carlton's work is great. I remember it was like a black and gray sleeve of like Zeus or Jesus or something with a bunch of like colored roses around it or some shit like that.
It'd be super minimal too. It'd just be like super smooth shades. Mad smooth.
It was almost like blocks of color.
But not too much shades of colors going on. You know what I mean? Like he would make a very minimal colors work.
Yep.
Like, he was killing it. I was following him back in the days, man.
Real nice
Definitely.
Yeah. But that's when things started getting a little more advanced. That was like, that's when Roman started packing color into everything, and Igor Tato started doing all that shit. I think good Joshua Carlton was kind of like one of those predecessors to that.
Sure.
Dude, I usually have one liner now out of pure laziness, but I feel like I can do most of the stuff with a corner of a mag.
Yeah.
So now I literally have either depending on the piece, anywhere between a 7 through a 15. And then one liner.
Yeah. When I was using coils, I always had at least 2 liners and at least 2 mags.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot. That's
super crispy thin line, right? And then the boulder line.
That's like the one thing I've entertained the fact. I'm probably just too lazy to do it. I'm like, man, I should just get these fucking pens, man.
They're great.
So much easier, man.
Chris Torres, pretty great.
Yeah,
it's a game changer, man.
I keep saying I'm about to. I'm always, tattoo machine parts are not universal.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? You order some shit from one company, you're like, oh, they got great armature bars. You order from another company, you take your machine apart. Next thing you know, your fucking armature bar is like
too long,
sticking out a foot over your fucking chuck. You're like, yo, what is this, man?
Yeah,
what is this, a fucking surfboard or some shit? Like, what the fuck, man?
That's why I love, all the cartridge systems. You get to do like what Truiano says. Like, oh, I don't like this needle. Let me try a different needle. But they just pop it right in. It's not like,
pop it, you know what I mean?
I wonder what Vega thinks sometimes, because like when he's breaking me down at the end of the night, and I'll do that. I'm like, oh man, this isn't working. I'll pause something out. And I'll have, like you said before, I'll have like
for the listeners, they might not know who Vega is.
Oh, Vega's the apprentice. He's been on a couple of times.
All right, cool.
So he breaks me down at the end of the night. And sometimes I'll have like 8 or 9 cartridges on my station at the end of the day that I may have just used for like a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes.
They're wrapped up. You could put them, if you don't use them. If I take a needle out and I leave it on my shit, like it's like, well, I guess if I leave it in a bubble wrap, you can use it. Maybe it's not the best. Maybe you want to edit that word.
I'll cut that. But yeah, it's super convenient. I was the same way in the very beginning. I was reluctant to try it out because it's a bit of an expense too. Like you have to switch over your entire system.
And there's no, like I can fix a coil machine. Mm-hmm. Oh, hold on, my spring just snapped. Hold on 1 second. Let me just fucking, or I bust out one of my other, 900 coil machines that I have. Like they're cool collectibles. I like to buy them and fucking.
Those things are cool. Like,
oh, what are you doing over there?
Right over there, bro.
You can't take this kid anywhere, man. If your pen breaks or whatever, I don't know.
You're screwed.
It depends.
You're screwed. So I mean, like, what you want to do is you want to have at least 2.
Yeah.
All right, hang on. Let's give him a minute.
And if your podcast mic breaks, But yeah, I mean, those things break in the middle of it. In the middle of a tattoo, hold on, let me call the factory.
Well, that's what you should have.
We'll continue your tattoo in 7 to 10 business days.
Well, I'll always go back to like, like I said, I used to set up 5 machines. So I used to travel with like 8.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, when I traveled, I used to use 5 machines for tattooing. So I could have
my
like
first convention.
3-liner, loose 5, or a tight 5 or tight 7, and then I would do like a loose 8 or 9, depending on the tattoo that I was doing when it comes to liners. And then I would use like a 7 mag, and then I'd have like a 15 curve mag, or a big mag to get through things quickly. And that's how I could do like really big tattoos quickly, because then I could switch to all these needle groupings, etc. But then now with like the rotaries, like I can have like freaking 10 cartridges right there. I'm like,
throw them all out.
I'm like, shit, let me get a 25 mag now, and 35 if I can
look
get
at any
through
of
this thing.
the old school tattoo artists, guys that were tattooing before me. People that let's say I started tattooing in 96. Look at people that started tattooing in 92. And even just a little further back than that. If you go too far back, the technical shit doesn't really matter because they were still figuring it out.
They were trying to figure it out themselves,
If you go too far back. But there is a point where people were like, oh, okay, cool, this is what we're doing.
Right.
And they never set up more than 2 machines. Any of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe 3.
Maybe 3.
Maybe 3. And that's like a back piece, a whole leg sleeve.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now kids are like, I'll take one of every fucking cartridge I got.
I think I think in that sense too, it like, especially when you look back when people had to make their own needles, like we were talking about. If you had to make your own needles, like shit, and you were like, fuck, I'm not gonna make
20
I'm not making all these fucking things. Why would I make that? Even if it made sense, you're like, I'm not making that. That's gonna be a pain in the ass. And you had to have a jig.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're if you didn't have a jig to make the kind of needle that you need, you fucked, bro.
You were just getting by with what you had.
What
you were
had.
making it work. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely.
But you got to remember too. This is another thing that kind of not to sound negative or nothing, but one of the things that makes me sick about
so negative,
so fucking negative about people ignoring the rules, like what I said earlier about letting the clients dictate what we do. The earliest man ever discovered had tattoos on him. Okay? Tattooing has been around for millions and millions and millions and millions of years. Okay? New York City happens to be the birthplace of electric tattooing. Before that, you had manual tattooing.
Right.
Right? Tick, tick. That's where the word tattoo comes from, is the sound that the
Yeah.
That's where they say the word tattoo comes from. That's what I've heard. So now you got people that have been tattooing 3 or 4 years talking about, oh, well, we accept dark skin. We tattoo on it. It's not a matter of accepting it or not. It's a matter of fucking science and physics and the chemistry of the ink.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now you've got people that have been tattooing 3 years like, I'm going to do it different. It's like, really? You and your fucking 3 years are going to change a multi-million-year-old art form that has had rules for decades, or hundreds of years probably, and all of a sudden you're just going to change it all, huh?
It's nice.
You got it like that? That's cool.
Yeah. A lot
All
of
right.
people
Right.
are, it's crazy because
The light bulb
I follow
went on.
one page.
You know what I'm
and
saying?
it's
They're like,
called,
oh, I can do it. They haven't been able to do it for 3 million years, but I got this shit. Like,
I saw a really good post by this page called Dark Skin Body Art. And they show a lot of tattooing that's done on like, different dark skin tones and stuff like that. But specifically, there was this one where, it was a cover up, and then the cover up was done with like all these colors, and I was like, oh man, that's never going to work, And then it healed terribly.
It doesn't.
And then after that, then it was like, it scabbed up like crazy. Yeah. Then it, it was definitely overworked. It finally settled, and it was like still in there, but just, it was muddy, like just so muddy. Like, and it's like, man, that's the problem. Like, and you try to explain that to people.
They don't care.
And they don't care.
They don't care.
And,
like, we accept everyone. it's not a matter of that or not.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, the way it works.
The way that it works. I'm like, I wish it would work differently.
Yeah, exactly. I would
It's
love
like-
to put pink on some dude who's like, the color of my phone case right here. But you know what I'm saying? It doesn't
It doesn't work.
happen.
It doesn't happen.
It doesn't work. It's
But like we were saying, it's like somebody will be like, but look, I saw this post and somebody else did it. And look, it looks amazing. And I'm like, yeah, it looks all right.
It might look good
In
there.
this
First off,
photo.
it doesn't look amazing. Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't look amazing, but
Apparently,
it
we have
looks all
very
right in
different
this
opinions
photo.
of what amazing looks like.
Yeah. But for sure, in like I feel like, man, so at some point or another, we kind of lost our kind of voice as the expert, kind of like, where people won't argue with their doctor about shit. Even though probably at this point they probably do.
At this point, they definitely
They definitely do. But like,
Because more people right now are concerned about like what they see on photos as things that are already been done, and they're like, "Well, it can be done," but they're not really asking the questions of like, "It should it be done?"
yeah.
Does
You
it
know what I mean?
last?
Like, does it last?
Stay?
Should it be done? I see that it's been done,
And then
but
we
it's not going to be responsible of me to give you some shit that's not going to last.
exactly.
man. As long as one person says yes, 100 could say no. But if one person says yes, then that changes the game.
If they have the picture in front of them also, and they're like, they can't understand why they can see it working. And we're explaining to them like, it's going to,
Right.
down the road, 20 years down the road, it's not going to work. But they got the picture on their phone and they're like, they kind of blow a fuse trying to like, and they're like, I just want it like this.
Yeah, they can't understand.
Yeah, they just come in.
Man.
I was like, is he waiting for the podcast? I was like, just come in.
It makes me think of my parents' house that I grew up in. My mom.
Started tattooing in my parents' house.
So did I.
Dude, you guys got some cool
Hey,
parents.
shout out to supportive parents.
Hey, dude. Hey, my parents are so supportive of our career. I love you, Mom, Dad. You guys are the best.
My mom wanted to get the house renovated. She wanted to get the wall, like one of the walls in the dining room knocked out. And she had contractor after contractor come in and be like, that's a load bearing wall. You can knock this wall down. Finally, some guy comes in. He's like, oh, yeah, I can knock that down. No problem. And he fucking does it.
And he does
and
it.
every day after that, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't feel safe.
You're like,
I
oh, yeah,
gotta
I'm
move
not
out, Mom. I'm moving out, Mom.
But yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter how many people.
Don't go.
It doesn't matter how many people say no. If one person says yes, then they're like, all
It
right.
goes out the window.
do it, yeah.
You just
It's
want to
done.
hear what they want to hear. You know, you search until you get the answer that you find.
Exactly.
That you
Yes.
want, you know what I mean? It's
Yes.
just
You could be
going-
wrong till someone says, no, man, I think you're right.
They're
You're like,
going
I
from
am
shop-
fucking right. Oh, man, that fucking.
all those other guys couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to me in 5
be
years,
like-
homie.
They all said no? Well, I'm going to say yes.